I began PCC in the fall of 2001, and that was after a year after high school, because I served 1 year in the military with the Marines. So I came having that, and once I finished PCC in 2004, I transferred to the University of Southern California, USC, and graduated from there in 2006.
I started my education at PCC in 1999. I transferred in 2002 to the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA.
I started my education at PCC in summer of 2003. Graduated in summer of 2007. Went to UCR, University of California, Riverside. Graduated from there in 2009.
Why I chose to attend PCC was I had 2 siblings, my older siblings, who were already attending here, and they stated that it was a good school to attend, so I said, okay, that's where I'm going, and I have no regrets for doing so.
One of the main reasons why I decided to attend PCC was to get away from my high school friends. I grew up in El Monte, which is serviced by Rio Hondo Community College, and a friend of mine who lived across the street was currently at that time attending PCC, so I was motivated to come to Pasadena City College in that way.
I came to PCC just out of the reason that I couldn't go to a 4-year college. I was an undocumented student at the time, so the affordability was really much why I came. It was more affordable to come to PCC, and I know that I can get the same education that I could when I went to the 4-year. I received my AA degree, my AS degree. I kind of got the idea of what college was like. Before I went to the 4-year, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I started as an engineer, became a psychologist at the end. So it really kind of guided me and started my path within the educational world.
For me, there was a few programs that provided the mentorship opportunity, one of them being the Puente Project, and the other was the guidance was EOP&S, the Extended Opportunity Program and Services. So just having that guidance and the support of being able to pursue my education here. I received also my AA and my AS, associate degrees, and having that opportunity, that support, to be able to accomplish the goals that I was looking into.
And the way PCC helped me reach my educational goals was through services such as the Teaching and Learning Center. When I became a student here, the first class I enrolled in was English 100 classes sponsored by the TLC. So that really helped. It gave me a good impression of what college could be, especially with PCC. It was an unorthodox English class where it wasn't a lecture-based. We did a lot of field trips and whatnot. But more importantly, it helped me, again, have those foundations as far as being able to write well, being able to study well, just those study habits. And I was also part of the EOP&S program, and that really helped me financially with being able to purchase textbooks and other things. And lastly, I think it was just I also earned my AA, my AS, and a certificate in liberal studies.
One of the fondest memories PCC during the time that I was here, it was my last year, was September 11th, and just the environment, how the campus was during the events of September 11th. Just seeing how students were just either confused in a way, and there wasn't much activity going on campus. I still remember the day being with one of my friends by the mirror pools, just kind of having a discussion on what had just occurred and being in shock. It was something that I remember.
For me, I'd have to say one of my fondest memories was actually as a U.S. Marine. I was deployed in Iraq, and it was during the spring 2003 term, so I missed that term. Luckily or unluckily, I was deployed right at the beginning, so I didn't actually miss any class or have to be I don't know, you can call it just get an incomplete. So when I came back in fall, a lot of my friends that I had studied with in the previous year were still here, so it was just a welcoming moment when I felt like I never actually left when I'd been away for a good while, and it was just good to know that, again, I had a place at PCC and the TLC where I could come, and it was like I never left. They welcomed me, treated me no differently, and it was just a good place to be, and I still remember that distinctly.
For me, it was commencement. It was the best commencement that I've had, BA and MA. Still, that's the one that kind of stays in my mind. The way my parents felt afterwards, the way I felt afterwards. I spent 4 years here, so it was really my BA in the sense that I spent the most education. So after working so hard, just having that ceremony and being able to share that ceremony with my family, I think that's the most memorable day.
I think that one was the easiest for me in the sense that the TLC in particular, where I work at, had given me so much, which is where I studied there my entire time here, and that's where I felt as it was my home away from home. So I just felt the TLC had given me so much that it was just an obvious place for me to try to give back to the newer students that would be coming in and being able to help them. So when I was given the opportunity to in the January of 2006, I immediately came on board. I said yes, and I began coordinating the lab ever since.
I think for me, PCC was the stepping stone for me to get me to where I wanted to get, and just the endless opportunities that PCC was able to provide to me as a student here encouraged me not only to come back to PCC and to give back to PCC as a staff member, but also to give back to the community around this area. I feel like even though I didn't grow up in Pasadena, I feel like I lived in Pasadena the majority of my life, or most of my life. Currently reside in Pasadena, so I find ways of being able to get back to the community as a whole.
I came from the community, and being an alumni here, well, once I was offered a position, then it was really much like I wanted to be able to help out my community. I want to be able to help out the students that come from the community, and I saw the need for just helping a new student get through the process of doing education and finding their own way. For me, it's making the registration and application process easier for students. Just allowing the students to apply to PCC and being able to not fall through the cracks. To process the application extremely easily and being able to have everything at their hands and the help that they need to ask any questions. I would like to leave that behind.
For me is definitely get back to the students and utilize myself as a mentor, as a role model, as someone that can show them that it is possible to get your goals accomplished. And I just want to make sure that students have every opportunity that's available for them and be able to take advantage of it in a way that's going to help them to get to where they want to. So using myself as a role model, positive role model to the students here. And
I see it as a mission for myself as being in charge of one of our tutoring programs to encourage all of our students to become what we call interdependent, where they're not completely dependent on our tutors, but they can do work on themselves, but being able to not afraid to ask for help. I see myself as a support staff, and I use that a lot, those services, when I was a student here, so I wanted to keep that going and just make it more available to all of our students, the tutoring services who don't see that as an available source, that any student can really take advantage of that, and they should.
Coming from a single-parent household, during the time when I was a student here, my mom lost her job. She got ill, and I just want to give props and thanks to Professor Bonilla for being a supportive, not only an instructor, but also giving me employment, giving me the opportunity to work 10 hours or so of my week. I'm really thankful for those people that were there to guide me to where I am today, because if it wasn't for them, I would not be here at this point. And just being able to feel like, I feel like family, somebody supportive. In comparisons to going to UCLA, a much bigger school, and being more on your own and not really having that family feeling.
Yeah, it's something that the faculty and staff here at PCC, most of them allow the students to think on their own, but allow them to also give them the help that they need in order to succeed. I can remember a couple of the professors, if they wouldn't have been there, I probably would have chosen another path, and I don't know if I would be here right now, just because those professors allowed me to either get additional help to pass their classes or just provided the additional help themselves. And if it wasn't for them, then I definitely wouldn't have been here.
I can definitely relate to that in the sense that there's definitely staff and faculty here at PCC that do go that extra mile in order to support their students. I personally have experienced that, where whether it be just extra hours as far as, again, I needed a lot of help as a student here with tutoring, and there were instructors who stayed beyond their hours to actually help me with either my papers or my math. And not only that, but my current boss, again, like Pablo, had that great experience with Principal Steele's, where myself, Brock Klein, he actually gave me one of my first jobs here as a tutor in the TLC. And again, he's been a definite mentor as far as how to be an innovative person on campus and not just accepting the status quo, but again, testing the limits and doing what we can do our best in order to help our students succeed.